Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel on what is a really sad night for Celtic and just general football fans everywhere. Celtic legend Bertie Auld has died at the age of 83. Celtic confirmed the news just after 6 p.m. on Sunday evening. They included a statement on the club's website which had some quotes from key people currently in place at the club. The chairman, Ian Bankier, described Bertie Auld as a giant of a player, a giant of a man, and quite simply Mr. Celtic. There were also some really nice quotes from Celtic Acting Chief Executive Michael Nicholson, and it goes without saying from all of us at 67 Hail Hail that we pass on our condolences to Bertie Auld's family and friends at what is a very, very difficult time. And it's not easy for any of us. Celtic have lost a legend, a great this evening, and he was a legend, he was a great for Celtic. One of the best players ever to play for Celtic in what was, is and will always be the greatest ever Celtic team, the team who brought the European Cup home in 1967. But for me, I think that the thing that kind of makes Bertie Auld stand out from anyone else in Celtic's history is that we'll see a lot of tributes over the next few days. Some of them will refer to his playing career and what he did on the pitch, but I'm assuming the vast majority of them will be amazing stories, anecdotes, quotes from Bertie Auld off the pitch. His, amazing personality, endearing personality that he had is, I think, what will be remembered most about him. And I think that makes him a legend and a great to Celtic fans of every generation. And I don't know if we can really say that about anyone else in the club's history. There's the amount of people my age that never even came close to seeing Bertie Auld play for Celtic that will be genuinely devastated tonight, as I am. And then there'll be people at all the other generations to go up until people who did actually see Bertie Auld play. And the feeling will be the same because he was just a guy who got Celtic, and the Celtic support got him all the way through his life since he signed for the club, aged 17. I met him once, literally spent about 10 seconds, if that, in his company, and he still had a funny comment to make. He made some comment about me spending the summer in a grow bag because I was so tall, and I'm guessing that's just what he was like all the time, and people who are more fortunate than me to spend more of their life in his life would have even more stories to tell. Just an amazing guy. He loved Celtic. He always had a smile on his face when you saw him at Celtic Park. And I think as much as there's real sadness now, and I feel it and everyone watching this will feel it, once that sadness subsides, I think it is that memory that we'll be left with. It'll be the image of Bertie Auld, and he'll have a big smile on his face. In December of 2015, in a previous job I had with the Celtic Live application, you may remember it, I had the quite amazing honour and fortune of being right in the middle of the unveiling of a statue of another Celtic legend and great of the Lisbon Lions team, Billy McNeill. And I was stood right behind the legendary Caesar as Bertie Auld addressed him and addressed the crowd that was there at the statue. So I've got a video actually, nobody's ever seen it apart from me, but I thought I could share it with you. Just watching this video, you'll get an understanding of the larger than life character he was and why people loved him so much. Apologies, this video is in portrait. I didn't have the foresight 6 years ago to think this would be going out on a landscape YouTube channel, but I'll play this now, so just have a wee watch and just enjoy the brilliance that was Bertie Auld.
Now coming to the rostrum, a man who really hasn't changed a bit since I first saw him playing, kicking lumps out of his opponents, putting the ball through their legs. A great tactician and a great man himself, Bertie Auld. Right, Bertie, he was not just a captain, he was a mate, wasn't he?
Well, very much so. The only thing that disappointed me with Jim, he covered every angle back. He never said, which was sickening at times, Liz, See when we were parties in your house, and it's his turn to get a berry. You used to look, oh, you so love me, so love. That's what it's all about. Have a look at the range. It was an amazing man, because he was there for you at all times. He was a great captain. I was fortunate enough to play under 3 captains, and Billy was up there with the best of them. If he had something grind for him to go to the board, and then not the Kelly right enough to jump the glory. He always says it was not proper. Billy would go there and put in the corner. He was a great player, magnificent goal scorer, and you pulled us out the whole 2 or 3 times. But you're the worst thing I ever known.
Bertie, that moment, where were you at the time when you eventually, in that same, we were there last summer, thanks to Celtic for taking us there. Were you at the park? Could you see it happening? Because I know there's a hell of a crowd on the field at the time.
Was this after the game?
Presentation, yeah.
Well, to be truthful, I was in the dressing room because I was knackered. Billy was the only one that didn't do much that day. Well, I'll tell you this much. He was the one that deserved to go and get it, because throughout his career he was Celtic through and through, and a great ambassador and a great leader, great captain. And then you've got to stand here with the work of yourself and all, because they used to listen to you. Sometimes he would come in after the game at Firhill, I'll tell you, in some state when he left. As you can appreciate, it's always great. You are the most important thing about Celtic Football Club. You, the supporters. Big Jock used to leave. They would used to come out of the dressing room, they'd come into the tunnel and they would shout, entertain. You've got the ability, you wouldn't be there. Entertain, and I promise you, see the jersey, it used to get tighter and tighter. Entertaining, you could see the opposition walking down the tunnel. You could see them changing colour. Honestly, white as a sheet. The game was won in the dressing room, and I see as soon as we walked down the park, down the tunnel, onto the track, and looking at the jungle, you wouldn't know nothing about that. If you were in the jail.
An incredible man who had so many amazing lines. Now, you're going to hear so many of these brilliant quotes and anecdotes and stories over the coming days. I thought for this we could just pick out some of my favourites, and I could never do these justice in my daft, unfunny accent. But yeah, some of them are just amazing. You've probably heard some of them already. The first one is to do with Bertie Auld, and it's from his playing days and a well-known former ref called Tiny Wharton. Now, Bertie Auld: if I call you an arsehole, Mr. Wharton, will I get booked? Tiny: yes, Mr. Auld, you'd be in trouble. Bertie: what if I just thought you were an arsehole? What would happen? Tiny: if you just thought it, nothing would happen. Bertie: well, Mr. Wharton, I think you're an arsehole. I should say, by the way, these are all on the Celtic Wiki. That's where I've got them from, an amazing website, and it's got its own page to Bertie Auld that I insist you must go on right after this video. This one's a bit more modern, from the early 2000s. Now, one of Bertie Auld's favourite quips was concerning the rise of footballers eating pasta in the 2000s, which was to help with their fitness. Bertie said everyone in Italy eats pasta, and there's still 3 teams relegated from Serie A at the end of every season. One of the most well-known Bertie Auld stories is to do with a Celtic Rangers match and a chat he had with a Rangers legend, John Greig. Now, this was ahead of a Celtic versus Rangers game. Now, John Greig, the Rangers player, said, "What's your bonus?" Bertie: £5. John: "Well, we're in 10. Bertie: "Aye, but ours is guaranteed." Bertie Auld was on the BBC Radio Scotland show Off the Ball with host Tam Cowan, and he said to Cowan, "Did you know one of the Lisbon Lions was gay?" Cowan got all excited and thought he was onto a story, and Bertie said to him, "Give us a kiss and I'll tell you who it was." That is just a tiny snapshot of the wit that Bertie Auld had, and I genuinely think that that's the lasting memory people will have of him. These amazing comments, and there must be so many other ones that are out there. Maybe if you're watching this and you ever met Bertie Auld or you heard an amazing story, then, you know, just bask in it in the comments, and let's just remember a guy for what he should be remembered for. In terms of the stuff he did on the pitch, Bertie Auld joined Celtic on April the 2nd, 1955, at the age of just 17. He left 6 years later to go down south to Birmingham City, but returned 4 years after that, when Celtic entered an amazing glory period. In his 2 spells for Celtic, he made a grand total of 283 appearances. He scored 85 goals. He won 5 league titles, 4 league cups, 3 Scottish Cups. And I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, that was it. The European Cup, the biggest trophy in European football, in Lisbon in 1967. Bertie Auld before that final against Inter Milan in Portugal. What I noticed when I walked into the dressing room was the jerseys hanging on the pegs. The colours seemed special. I think it was the sunlight, but the jerseys seemed like sparkling green and white, like I have never seen them before. They looked special. As well as playing his part on the pitch that day for Celtic and that amazing achievement, Bertie Auld also became famous for having led his teammates in singing the Celtic song in the tunnel that day as they lined up alongside the Inter Milan players. Simply one of the greatest figures in Celtic's 134-year history, the likes of which we'll never see again.